So when we take a look at a chicken, we want to make sure that we identify which side is which, because that can be confusing sometimes. This is the tail. All right, so that's the tail end where the legs are, and then the neck would have been coming out over here. All right, where the wings are. So that's really important so that we see that. The first thing we're going to do is to remove the wings. All right. Now, I can serve the chicken breast without any wing bone, but then it's just a chicken breast. If I want something that's a little bit nicer, like in a fine dining restaurant, sometimes having the bone on there makes for a really nice presentation. In order to do that, I have to remove all this skin and meat, because I can't brown the skin around this bone unless I deep fry it. All right. So it's going to be tough and chewy, and it's not going to be rendered, it's going to be fatty, and it's not going to be a good product. So we do what we call Frenching. We're going to French the wing bone. And there's a little trick to do it, and it makes it very easy. If you don't get this trick, like if it doesn't work, then I've got to sit here and I've got to scrape all the meat down on the bone and then cut it away. But if I do the trick just right, it's one cut and boom, it's done. So what we're going to do is hold the chicken wing with your left hand if you're right-handed when you're cutting. And I'm going to cut just below the joint. And I'm going to cut through the webbing here and just score to the bone. That's it. Just one nice little cut, just like that. And then take my finger, I'm going to push on the joint, and it pushes that bone right out, and it takes all the cartilage with it. And then I just push with my knife. I have something to hold on to, so it's easy to pull the meat away and cut it away. And then I cut the little bit extra off the other side, and I've got a perfectly French wing bone in one cut. All right. I see most people spending about 5 minutes sitting here whittling away on the meat, trying to get it off. And it can be really annoying. This is going to go into our stock. All right, again, so you notice I pull the chicken around. Right? I don't want to be reaching around if my hands are crossing them, I'm having to bend over the chicken. Move the chicken to wherever you're cutting is easily accessed. All right, again, I cut through the webbing, and on the chicken side, on the bird side, the body side of that joint, I'm just going to score the bone. And then get my finger on that knuckle and pop it right out, and it pops out every time. Use my knife to pull it. Sometimes that connective tissue sticks, so you do have to scrape a little bit, but all in all, this little trick usually works out very efficiently. Alright, so now that I've got my wing bones Frenched, I'm going to work on removing the legs and the thighs. If I'm going to be searing this breast, I want as much skin on the breast as possible. It protects the actual meat, the muscle tissue, from being overcooked by the hot heat of a sear. So in order to do that, I want to pull the chicken skin up towards the breast and slice just where that cavity is. And you can see there's a huge cavity right here between the breast and the leg and the thigh. I don't really have to cut any meat. All I'm doing is separating the skin so that that cavity just naturally opens up. And then I'm just going to, the skin is connected all the way up to the top, and it just gets in my way. So I'm really just going to want to move it out of the way altogether. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger back here where the thigh bone connects to the backbone. All right, just like that. Get good leverage, and I'm going to pop that bone out. All right, I love that sound. Now this is where a lot of people get it wrong. The book says to come from back here. Well, there's something called the oyster right back here, and they say it's the most tender part of the chicken, and it is pretty good. It's dark meat, but it's really, really juicy because it doesn't get a lot of exercise, right? It doesn't get a lot of muscle movement. The problem is, I don't know where it is right back here. It's somewhere in there, and if I just start cutting, there's a chance that I might cut into it, and it's very tender, and when I try to take it out, it could rip, and half of it's going to stay on the carcass. So there's another trick in order to get the the oyster every single time. And that is stand the bird up on its neck, all right, so that you're kind of looking at it. I've got the back right here, and I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to start moving down the backbone towards where I popped the thigh bone out. If I'm too close into the backbone, there's all kinds of ridges in there, I get stuck. So just back away and try again. I should be able to feel the ridges of the backbone on the side of my knife. And I'm going to gently move until I can see the socket. that I pop this knuckle out of, see? And I don't even want to cut through it. You see how there's a tiny bit of that cartilage holding on? I'm going to lay it on its side, and I'm going to sever that little bit of cartilage, because right on the other side of that is the oyster. If I go too far, I cut into the oyster, and when I try to take it out, it rips. So I'm at the perfect position right here. I sever that, it severs the oyster. I hold the carcass with my knife to hold it down, and I just pull, and the oyster comes out every single time. These are going to go in here. So on this other side, again, I do the same thing. Pull the skin up so I have as much skin as possible to protect my chicken breast. Get that excess skin removed from out there. Get my finger right underneath where the thigh bone connects to the backbone, and just pop it out. Right. Get a good grip on that leg and thigh. Now I'm kind of on the other side, but it's still the same technique. I'm pushing up against the backbone, following it down until I can see that cartilage, the socket where that bone came out of. I'm going to sever the socket, hold them, and pull. All right, and the oyster came out. And you guys can see that's what the reason why they call it an oyster is because the bone left over looks like an oyster shell because it's nice and smooth. So now I got the leg and thigh removed. Now I'm going to work on the breast. There's a bone right going up through the middle right here called the keel bone. And it's shaped like a keel of a boat. It's very angular. So I'm just going to really gently score the skin on either side of the keel bone. Just so I know exactly where it is. And then now I can work at one side at a time. I'm going to go straight down and follow that keel bone and take it down towards the back. Now right down the back here on this little upside down V is the wishbone. Sometimes the wishbone gets cracked and your knife will go right through. Like I don't feel it yet. Oh, it's right there. All right. If I hit the wishbone with just the tip of my knife, I'm just going to follow down the edge of the wishbone and go around it. All right. Actually, I think I missed it. No, it's right there. And then I've just released the back half of the breast. Now I'm going to work on the front half. I'm going to take that same technique of just nice thin strokes all the way up to the tip. And I'm going to start working my knife to go straight and flat so I can get underneath the tip of that. What I'm looking for here is there's a long thin bone that comes up, and I want my knife to get right on top of that and slice up. And then I can work my way back down the breast and the rib cage. So you guys can see that long thin bone right there. That's what I'm looking for. When I'm working my way down, I'm looking for that bone. That's my guide to get up because the breast comes up to a tip. So once I get that off, the tip comes away and I can work back along the rib cage. And I just want to make sure I don't get any bones. Long, thin, easy strokes is the way to go. Now, at this point, I've got to be really careful because I just spent all that time Frenching the wing bone, and I'm coming really close to where it's connected. If I cut on the left-hand side over here of this joint, the wing bone's going to get left on the carcass, and I'll have done all that work for nothing. So grab the wing bone with your fingers, hold the breast, and this way I know exactly where the wing bone is, and I can make sure I'm cutting on the right-hand side, on the carcass side of the wing bone, and I get the breast removed with the wing bone intact. We're going to remove a little bit of this extra skin. We got all the skin up here. If I can't render the skin and get it nice and crispy, I want to take it off because it's going to be chewy and fatty. Now I'm going to work on this other side. Follow it down until I hit the wishbone. With the tip of your knife, cut around the wishbone. Remember, I want to be really careful back here because I've seen people accidentally cut too far and leave the wing bone on the carcass by accident. Follow long, thin strokes up to remove the tip of the breast. Look for that long, skinny bone. And then follow it back down the rib cage. When I'm close to the joint with the wing bone, get that wing bone in my finger and then cut right through the joint. When you hit right through the joint, it's like butter. It goes right through. Remove some of this excess fat. want to take a really good look to make sure we got enough skin. Because most of our preparations we're going to be doing are seared. As a matter of fact, your practical at the end of the course is going to be a pan-seared chicken breast. Right? Frenching the wing bone is optional, but if you don't get it Frenched, then don't serve me the wing bone, because I'll take off because you can't get that skin and fat around it all rendered properly. One of the other things we're going to do is detach the tenderloin. It's just an extra flap of skin. What's going to happen is it's going to come loose anyway, and then it's going to get overcooked because it's a different size than the rest of this bird, rest of the breast. And then we can save that and make chicken tenders and sell them in our bar and make lots of money, right? Alright, so that is our chicken breast. The carcass goes in the pot. You can put the excess fat. We could probably just throw this in the compost. Alright, we'll save all the chicken tenders. We'll put them over here with the legs and thighs. Tonight when we're cleaning up, we'll separate them, cryovac them, and hold them for tomorrow. Right? And that's our chicken breast. Good to go.